I am attorney Unique Otto, your resident personal injury and medical malpractice lawyer. Today, I want to talk to you about medical malpractice. I want to give you an understanding of what it entails. So I'm going to break down what med-mal is. That's the legal term we use, or the shortened phrase med-mal. So what is med-mal? What is medical malpractice? And then I'm going to talk to you about where it can occur. I'm going to give you some tips about what you can do if you have a medical malpractice case of your own. If you feel that you may have encountered some kind of medical malpractice, I'm going to give you some steps that you can take to make sure that your case is handled in the best way possible. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about how long, the time frame that you have in which to bring a claim for medical malpractice. If you are a note taker, I will encourage you to grab a pen and a piece of paper, because some of the things I'm going to talk about you want to write down, particularly if you are facing a medical malpractice concern of your own. So let's jump right in. So what is medical malpractice? Well, it happens when a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, or some other medical practitioner causes injury to one of their patients. It happens when the doctor breaches the standard care or duty that they have to care for their clients. And each profession has a certain level, a certain standard that professionals are held to. As an attorney, I have a certain level of professional responsibility to you, my clients. And as doctors and medical professionals, they also have a standard that they must rise to. So when they fall below this standard and it causes injury to their patients, then a medical malpractice has occurred. Now, it can happen in a number of places. It can happen in a hospital, a doctor's office, inpatient care facility, or at a local pharmacy. It really could happen anywhere. Technically, it could happen in your home or in an office or your office at work, if that's where the doctor treated you. But the more typical places we see are these medical facilities that I have just mentioned. So, what should you do if you believe that you have a medical malpractice claim? And I get this question over and over. I'm not sure if what happened to me rises to the level of malpractice, but I think so, because I went in, to see this medical professional, and when I came out, I felt like I was worse off than I was before I went in. So this is where the note taking comes in. For the note takers among us, or for those who really are facing this issue and you want to know what to do, here's step number 1 for you. It is make a list of all the doctors that you have seen regarding the incident. So the thing that you think was screwed up, whether it's a surgery or a dental procedure or whatever medical procedure that you think something went wrong, I want you to start thinking about and writing down the names of all the doctors, all the medical professionals that were involved in that. Because oftentimes what we find is it's not always the one person that you think that did something wrong. Now, in many cases it is, but we need the full picture. We need to know all of the health professionals that worked with you on this particular concern. So mentally think that through and start writing down the names of all the doctors, nurses, pharmacists, anybody who was involved in your medical care. And then the second thing you should do, let me just click over here, is to gather all of the medical records that you can get your hands on. Typically, whenever you go through any kind of medical procedure, there are lots of records kept to document everything from the time you came in until the time you left, any medicine that you were given, any procedures that were performed, anything they do needs to be properly documented. So what you want to do, if you really do think that you have a claim, or if you're wondering if you have a claim, you want to reach out to the medical providers that were part of your medical care team and request the records for the dates of service involved. Now, this can be a little bit overwhelming for some of my clients. I do hear feedback saying it's kind of frustrating. I've called the hospital a couple of times, or I've called the outpatient care facility, and they keep telling me they're going to send it and they don't. So if this is something you need help on, then we can help you. That is something that we try to alleviate, from our clients. If you can get it yourself, great. That way, by the time you and I sit down to meet and talk about your case, we've already reviewed all of the records. But if you need our help with that, or whichever attorney you're working with, they should be able to grab these documents on your behalf, so long as you sign the necessary waivers and HIPAA authorizations and so on. But once you have a list of the doctors and then you have all of the medical documents necessary, the next step is going to be to call an attorney. This is step 3. Call an attorney who specializes in medical malpractice. And I want to flesh this out a little bit, because obviously I am a medical malpractice attorney, but I don't want you to think that this is some kind of ulterior motive on my part. Like, oh yeah, you can't do it on your own, just call me. I'll say this, and for those of you who have followed me for a while, I know that you already know this, but for those who are new to my channel, or maybe just listening to me for the first time, I've practiced law for a long time, many years, and my clients will tell you, I've had people who come into my office, and I practice, in the past, before I honed in on this specialization, I practiced several different areas, from landlord tenant to divorce to immigration, you name it. I would have people come into my office and hand me a check, or want to hand me a check to say, hey, can you handle this legal issue for me? I'll pay you X many thousands of dollars. And I'm that attorney that will tell you when you don't need an attorney. I think I actually developed a reputation for that, because I would say, well, you don't actually need a lawyer for this. This is something you can do on your own. I'll actually coach you through how to do it, and then you can take the information and go do it yourself. Well, medical malpractice, no sir, no ma'am. It's not one of those areas of the law that you want to dabble in or go without an attorney. And again, I'm not saying that I need to be the attorney, but I'm saying you should select an attorney who specializes in medical malpractice. And the reason being, the medical malpractice statute is particularly complicated, and it's particularly nuanced. Maybe that's a better word. Not necessarily complicated. It's not that you can't read it and understand it, but it has some specific steps that must be followed. And without the necessary expertise, without a professional who does this day in, day out, it's going to be challenging, I would say, for you to follow those steps. And one misstep could cost you your entire case. Literally, we've seen that happen, where something procedural was not followed and it did cost the client the entire case. So we want to make sure that you're in good hands. You have a professional walking through this process with you. The other thing with medical malpractice claims is that they can get very expensive to bring effectively. And let me clarify that, because I want you to know we don't charge you anything up front. Like, it's free 99 for you to hire our services until and unless we make a recovery on your behalf. So we don't get paid until we get money for you, essentially. The thing, though, is that to bring a medical malpractice claim, one of the requirements is that we have to get other doctors, other medical professionals on board who will testify to the fact that what the doctor who, acted negligently did is in fact negligent. So we have to get another doctor to essentially say, this person was wrong, and here's why the client is entitled, or the patient is entitled, to compensatory damages. And in order to do that, in order to bring these experts on board, it can cost upwards of 80 to 100,000, sometimes even more. So that is typically not the kind of funds that you're going to have just laying around. And so our law firm, we upfront the cost of those experts in your case on your behalf. So you want to work with an attorney who does this, day in, day out. They know the statute in and out. They've handled numerous cases. I mean, our firm has handled so many medical malpractice cases, and we'll have a chance to talk about that if we work together. But we've settled multiple million-dollar cases. We've received multiple million-dollar verdicts on behalf of our clients for medical malpractice claims. So I want you to consider, if you want to talk to me, you're more than welcome to call me, but you can also talk to another attorney. Just make sure that you're working with a professional. So finally, I want to talk to you about the timeline that you have to bring your claim. The statute of limitations is a law that sets the maximum amount of time that parties involved in a dispute have to initiate legal proceedings from the date of an alleged offense. What that simply means is, from the day something went wrong in your medical procedure to the day that you can take that person to court, there's a time frame. And in this specific area of law, the statute of limitations is 2 years. So you have 2 years from the date that the malpractice occurred, or you have 2 years from the date that you discovered it. I'm going to do a whole separate video just to break this down, but real quickly, I'll just kind of emphasize here. It's 2 years from the date of the surgery. Let's just assume it's a surgery that you got injured in. From the date of the surgery, you have 2 full years. However, if you didn't realize you were injured, if you didn't realize the doctor messed up till 1 year in, then you have 2 years from that date. And of course, all of that will have to be proven with medical records, and we'll have to demonstrate why you didn't know until, a year in. But once we can demonstrate that, then you have the clock starts again at the time that you find out. The reason I'm telling you this is because delaying in filing a medical malpractice case can literally cost you, again, the entire case, because our law is very specific and the courts tend to hold very strictly to that statute of limitations. So literally, if you walk in 2 years and a day after the surgery or after you found out, then we really can't bring a claim on your behalf. The other reason I emphasize not delaying, let's say you had a surgery a year ago or a year and a half ago, and you're kind of thinking, well, I have a little bit of time because it's 2 years. Well, you don't want to reach out to your attorney at the 11th hour, so to speak. And the reason for that is it is going to take us some time to put your case together, to do the review, to contact the professionals that were involved so we can do a little bit of our own investigation. The other thing is we do have a medical doctor on staff here at Kelly Houston. He's both a doctor and a lawyer. He's kind of awesome, if you ask me. And for my Jamaicans out there, he actually practiced medicine in Jamaica before he became a lawyer. He did surgeries at UWI-Mona. That's a complete sidebar. But anyway, so Dr. Wald actually reviews all of the medical records that come through for our personal injury cases or medical malpractice cases. So you'll have another set of eyes on the documents that just doesn't have a legal brain, but also has a medical brain. So putting all of that together takes some time for us. And we want to make sure that we give your case the time, the effort, and the attention it deserves. So if you do have a medical malpractice claim, or if you suspect that you may have one, I would encourage you to contact an attorney as soon as possible. And if you would like to speak to me personally about your medical malpractice claim, or for someone that you know or yourself, the number is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can always call me or text me and I'll get right back to you. My number is 954-246-0967. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, I would ask that you like it, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and share this video because it does help with the algorithms for me to get the word out and for me to be able to help more people. So once again, I'm attorney Yannick Otto. And as I always say, I hope you never need me, but if you do, I'm here to help and I'm ready and prepared to serve you. Take care.